For over a century, a tradition of intercollegiate athletic excellence has been strong in central Nebraska. This is an inside look at that tradition. This is the University of Nebraska-Kearney Loper Review. Loper Review is brought to you by Nebraska Star Beef, from our family to yours.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Loper Review. I'm your host, Randy Bushcutter, and we're wrapping up the academic school year much the same as we began it. We're near the same spot where we showed you the Student Wellness Center as construction was underway. Now, as you can see, the project is almost nearing completion. Also last fall, we spoke with UNK Athletic Director Paul Plinske as he'd been on the job for only a few days. On this month's show, we'll sit down with Dr. Plinske to find out his thoughts after his first year in Kearney. We'll go from someone that's been on campus less than a year to someone who's retiring after 40 years as a Loper, former women's track coach Mary Iten. Our senior spotlight takes us halfway around the world as we'll visit a tennis player from India. And in Antelope 101, we'll take a look at the years that led up to World War II. All that and more as we bring down the curtain on Loper Review for the school year. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back right after this.
Loper Review is brought to you by Nebraska Star Beef.
The Nebraska Star Beef Pure Promise. No antibiotics, no hormones, humane treatment of animals, USDA choice or higher, a price that is always fair, and satisfaction guaranteed. At Nebraska Star Beef, we pay close attention to what we feed our families and are passionate about delivering beef that you can feel good about serving to your family. Visit us at nebraskastarbeef.com for more information.
Programming is made possible in part by the Museum of Nebraska Art in Kearney. From the artist explores through the modern era to the art of today, Mona tells the story of Nebraska through the art of Nebraska. Whether you're online at mona.unk.edu or on our doorstep, there's always something new to see and do.
You're watching the Nebraska Star Beef Loper Review.
Welcome back. Well, back in the fall, we sat down with Dr. Paul Plinske as he began his tenure as the new athletic director here at UNK about his expectations. Well, now with his first year under the belt, we had a chance again to talk with Dr. Plinske, and we asked him how he was able to meet his goals in his first year on the job.
Well, I'm overly excited about how the 2013-14 academic year went for me as the 7th athletic director at the University of Nebraska-Kearney. When I first started to look at this position, I knew that it was going to be a big challenge moving into a Division II setting and be able to compete really in the toughest conference in Division II, the MIAA. And I set a couple goals as I walked onto campus, and really there's three primary ones that I tried to hang my hat on throughout the entire year. And the first was to build relationships with a number of different constituents. The relationship building process with our student athletes, with our coaches and staff was real important to me. The relationship building process in the city of Kearney has been spectacular, and I'm really looking forward to continuing that for many years. But I also know that in my first year here, I needed to analyze our operations and be able to understand, you know, the ins and outs of how we get things done. As we look at our operations, we have some fiscal goals that we'd like to accomplish. I don't think it's any secret that we're behind the 8 ball when it comes to our operating budgets. And right now, we're in the lower part of the conference. And so we're working with multiple facets of our athletic department to try and raise the revenue that's needed. Tickets and the ticket sales that we do need to be improved. Our corporate sponsorship packages and how we engage our corporate partners needs to improve. The relationship that we have with our students on campus and the student fee that our students pay, we have to look at improving and getting to a point where the support is commensurate with the level of travel and the competition that we're going up against on a daily basis. And so it's truly a well-rounded approach towards funding ourselves and becoming fiscally sound. We're constantly analyzing where we're at and setting timelines for each of those. And so, for example, I said the scholarships, we're going from 1.2 million to 1.4. Well, that's a 1-year goal. We'd like to get to a point where we can be at the MIAA average, which is 1.6, and then try to chop away at getting up close to $2 million that we'd have available for our coaches for scholarship allocation. And I know we're going to have challenges and we're going to have to deal with shortcomings, whether it's our fiscal operations or the number of staff we have or the scholarships that we can allocate. But everyone comes to work every day and we keep fighting and we keep getting better. And we're developing a slogan as we look to 2014-15. And the slogan is going to be that this is your team and this is our time. It's your team is the concept of this is our community team. People are going to support it. They're going to be behind it. The players are going to be engaged in one another. They're going to support each other from one team to the next. But you know what? This is our time. We've seen some other schools do very well nationally. Northwest Missouri State wins the national title in football, and Central Missouri wins the national title in men's basketball. University of Central Oklahoma a year ago wins the softball national championship. We have teams that compete at a national level. Well, guess what? It's our time. It's our time to step into the next era of UNK athletics and move to higher horizons. And so I'm excited to be a part of that and be able to support our teams as they're trying to strive towards that.
Of course, we're hoping for many more conversations in the years to come with Dr. Plinske. Right now, it's time for us to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll sit down with a Loper legend. That's coming up next on Loper Review.
Loper Review is brought to you by Nebraska Star Beef.
The Nebraska Star Beef Pure Promise. No antibiotics, no hormones, humane treatment of animals, USDA choice or higher, a price that is always fair, and satisfaction guaranteed. At Nebraska Star Beef, we pay close attention to what we feed our families and are passionate about delivering beef that you can feel good about serving to your family. Visit us at nebraskastarbeef.com for more information.
Programming is made possible in part by the Museum of Nebraska Art in Kearney. From the artist explores through the modern era to the art of today, Mona tells the story of Nebraska through the art of Nebraska. Whether you're online at mona.unk.edu or on our doorstep, there's always something new to see and do.
You're watching the Nebraska Star Beef Loper Review.
Welcome back. Well, the women's track program began in 1969 for the Lopers. A couple of years later, Mary Iten became an assistant coach under head coach Charlie Foster. Now, after 37 years on the job, a Loper legend has retired, and we had a chance to talk to her about her distinguished career.
Well, I have to start with the athletes. I've never been one to say to anybody, you can't do it. And so to watch somebody come in that only could throw maybe 38 in the shot put, and then now is throwing near 50. It always inspired me to say, you know, don't give up and make it work. So I had a lot of great athletes, and some of them weren't all Americans, but many of them were. I taught some phenomenal students that have become teachers and young professionals, and that's been a cool part of my life. It's probably the most rewarding. I got to do some things on a national level in track and field and in my profession in PE and health, and those have all been really rewarding.
What about Charlie Foster?
He's the one that interviewed me, and I'll tell you, he asked me all kinds of questions. I don't think anybody wants, when you come in, I don't think, and you're filling the shoes of somebody else, or you may sometime, I think the person whose shoes are going to be empty thinks is just a little bit, I don't want to say selfish, but protective. But sooner or later, he just thought that he could only come over and coach the high jumpers, and he sat in a chair. And you know what? He had a lot of, you know, he was a great man. He started track and field for girls and then women at UNK, but he started it for girls in the state of Nebraska. He knew what he was talking about. Charlie thought that no young woman was going to tell him what should be done. So I've learned a long time ago is that you let somebody think it's their idea, and then pretty soon it's all right, you get what you want. And I didn't need the glory of, oh, I decided on that. So it worked out well. We had one little spat, and that's all it took to never have another one. It was a rewarding 20 years to coach at Kearney State, UNK. I wouldn't have given it up for anybody, or for anything, or for any money.
In the short term, Mary plans on staying in the Kearney area, but eventually plans on moving to Minnesota to be a little bit closer to her family. And we wish her the best of luck in the future. Soon we have to take a break, but first we want to take you to the Eunice Conference Center here in Kearney, where earlier this month, the Loper Backers Dinner and Fundraiser took place.
Well, I will tell you that we are still in the process of recruiting, and if it were not for this event, we would not have money to still be recruiting this far into May, which is a huge recruiting time for a college football team. So again, all you folks in the city of Kearney, the way you come out and support our football program is phenomenal. We would not be as good as we are. We hope to be an improved football team. We're now powered by Under Armour, so we thank you for your support.
This is truly an important night for Loper football, and I'd like to share a few thoughts about where we're going with the program and what we're looking to do, but you need to know that your help, your support, and your involvement tonight is helping us take these steps that we need to take in order to go to that next level in the most competitive league in the country, the MIAA. First, what I'd like to do is just share with you that we have made the move to Under Armour, and we're excited about this opportunity. Back when we made the decision to go with Under Armour, a week later, Notre Dame signed with Under Armour. They signed for $90 million, and I can assure you that we didn't sign for $90 million. But we're excited about the brand that we're able to bring to UNK Athletics. We're excited about the state-of-the-art equipment that we'll be able to put our student athletes in, and we're excited about the ability to recruit student athletes to our campus with this brand on our campus. I'll share with you, if you look at this, the cost of an in-state scholarship for a full scholarship is $16,975. UNK football, right now, 45% of our student athletes in our football program are walk-ons. 45%. The average scholarship for a UNK football player is $6,000. It is not $16,975. The maximum that we can offer is 36. Well, you do the math, 36 times $16,975 is $611,000 in order to fully fund scholarships at the in-state level. Our competitors in the MIAA are all at 34 scholarships or higher. We are at the bottom of the MIAA. So it's clear as you look, we're at 27 scholarships right now, and we're at $450,000 in the amount of money that is allocated to help support Coach Morris and his coaches while we're out recruiting.
That football dinner and fundraiser is a wonderful event, and we look forward to many, many more in the future. Right now, we have to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to shine our senior spotlight on one of the many international players on the men's tennis team. His story is coming up next, right after this break.
Loper Review is brought to you by Nebraska Star Beef.
The Nebraska Star Beef Pure Promise. No antibiotics, no hormones, humane treatment of animals, USDA choice or higher, a price that is always fair, and satisfaction guaranteed. At Nebraska Star Beef, we pay close attention to what we feed our families and are passionate about delivering beef that you can feel good about serving to your family. Visit us at nebraskastarbeef.com for more information.
Programming is made possible in part by the Museum of Nebraska Art in Kearney. From the artist explores through the modern era to the art of today, Mona tells the story of Nebraska through the art of Nebraska. Whether you're online at mona.unk.edu or on our doorstep, there's always something new to see and do.
You're watching the Nebraska Star Beef Loper Review.
And welcome back. Now time to shine our senior spotlight. You know, through the course of this year, we've met seniors from the state of Florida, from Texas, from Nebraska, of course. Well, we're expanding our horizons a little bit as we talk with senior Yeswanth Nadella from India. Now, the first obvious question is, what brings you to Kearney, Nebraska from India?
Well, I had offers from other universities too, but I just decided to go to Nebraska just based on coach's emails. He looked really friendly. I think that was one of the main reasons I chose Nebraska.
Well, tennis is tennis, but what were some of the cultural adjustments you had to make coming from India to come and play tennis here at UNK?
I come from a really big city with like 10 million people at least, and you don't say hi to anyone like you don't know. Here, people are more friendly and you just say hi. Even if you're just walking on the streets, they just talk to you, I guess. That's one of the big differences.
And you mentioned that friendly aspect a couple of times already. How important is that to you?
Well, as an international student, I think it's really important because you don't know what you're getting into, because this is the first time I came to the States. So I thought that was one of the main things for me, like before I decided to which college I should go to.
Obviously, distance makes it so you can't run home every weekend. Talk a little bit about dealing with being homesick a little bit, and how often do you get to visit your family at home, or how many times have they come here?
I usually try going once every year. Like I went back home for last Christmas, and I didn't really miss home because I kind of enjoyed staying here. I really liked Kearney.
Very diverse tennis team. There's 7 different international students that make up the top 10 on the tennis team. Talk a little bit about that aspect of that just has to be a little bit different.
Before I was coming to the US, I knew like most of the tennis teams are going to be with international students, but my first 2 years it was not that international. It was mostly Americans, so it was easier to adjust. Now the last 2 years it's getting more and more international. I had fun. It was a little different in the beginning. Like people from like 6 different continents were playing, so I get to learn a lot from them. So I really enjoyed it.
Academically, obviously, tennis is a big part of what you're doing, but academically, what are you studying and what do you plan on doing with that degree?
I'm studying management information systems, and I'm trying to find a full-time job after I graduate, like as a business analyst.
Are you looking at home or are you looking in the Midwest? Or where are you looking?
I'm looking in the Midwest mostly, but in the US, that would be my main option. But if I get a job, I'd do it anywhere. I don't really have a preference right now.
When you look back on your time here in Kearney, what is it that you're going to remember most?
Spending the time with my teammates, just the bus rides and all, I think those are just unforgettable. Like, I had a lot of fun with that.
And I imagine that with the international background and all that, it's been educational both on and off the tennis court.
Yep, very true.
Yeah. As you look back on your career, you had to have a lot of interesting experiences both on the road, here in Kearney. Is there anything that really kind of comes to your mind that you kind of look back on and said, you know, at the time you thought that was kind of weird?
Well, I think my first day here, when I first got to Kearney, because I stayed in Boston for like 2 weeks, and for some reason I thought Kearney is going to look very similar to Boston. When I first got here, got off the plane, I was like, just seeing cornfields everywhere, and it's like, I met Coach, and it's like, hey, where's the university? It's like 5 minutes away from here. It's like, what?
Did you think at that point, what have I gotten myself into?
I did actually, like, because I'm so used to like big cities, because I come from a really big city back home, and this is like so small, like, it's way different from what I grew up with.
Is the cultural difference bigger because of the size of Kearney, or is it the biggest difference between India and the United States culture?
There's cultural differences, but at the same time, it is not that much because India is getting westernized. So I knew what I was getting into, but it's just, I didn't expect, I thought the whole year was going to look like Los Angeles or something. So Kearney it's very different from everything.
Yes, appreciate the time. It was great meeting you. Best of luck to you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
It's time for us to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll have Antelope 101. That's coming up right after this.
Loper Review is brought to you by Nebraska Star Beef.
The Nebraska Star Beef Pure Promise. No antibiotics, no hormones, humane treatment of animals, USDA choice or higher, a price that is always fair, and satisfaction guaranteed. At Nebraska Star Beef, we pay close attention to what we feed our families and are passionate about delivering beef that you can feel good about serving to your family. Visit us at nebraskastarbeef.com for more information.
Programming is made possible in part by the Museum of Nebraska Art in Kearney. From the artist explores through the modern era to the art of today, Mona tells the story of Nebraska through the art of Nebraska. Whether you're online at mona.unk.edu or on our doorstep, there's always something new to see and do.
You're watching the Nebraska Star Beef Loper Review.
Welcome back. Well, time now to hit the history books and take a look at Antelope athletic history with Antelope 101. And we're glad that Nikki Thompson can lead the way.
Hello, and thanks for joining me on another edition of Antelope 101. This month, we're going to take a look at the decade of the 30s. And despite Nebraska being hit hard by the Depression and the Dust Bowl, the Antelopes enjoyed modest success. Perhaps having something to do with a new field being built in 1929, the decade actually got off to a great start for football. New coach Ted James led the team with a conference championship in 1930 and again in 1931, although the Antelopes had a losing record overall of 4-5 that year. James would coach the Antelopes only one more season, falling to 2-5-1 in 1932, and things only got worse under coach Howard Hill, who only won one game in 2 seasons. The following year, LF Pop Klein would take over as head coach and begin a 17-year stretch that he shared with Coach Charlie Foster, during which the Antelopes would win 66% of their games, including conference championships in 1936 and 38. Coach Klein would leave Kearney following the 1942 season for a job on the Cornhusker coaching staff. His 1941 team would go 8-0 and win the school's third conference championship in 6 years. That team would also allow only 13 points to be scored against them all season. The decade would also feature 2 more sets of brothers who made major contributions to the athletic program. Dulworth Graham was all-conference in football and basketball all 4 years as an Antelope. Known as Dode, Graham is now in the school's Hall of Fame. His younger brother Dudley, known as Dud, was also a standout in both football and basketball. All 3 of the Morrow brothers have been enshrined. Oldest brother John was all-conference in football in the mid-30s and would go on to play professional football. A few years later, middle brother Marion would match John's all-conference honors. Finally, youngest brother Lee would be a 3-sport letter winner, although his athletic career was interrupted by service during World War II. Track and field would join football by winning their first conference championship in 1931, certainly with many of the same athletes competing. This would have been Frank Liddick's senior season. Last month, we told you how Liddick may have been the school's greatest distance runner of all time. Even without Liddick, the Antelopes would win the conference championship the next 2 years as well. And last but not least, even though intercollegiate competition for women disappeared with World War I, the Girls Athletic Association was organized in 1922 and over the years competed in volleyball, soccer, basketball, swimming, and other activities. Along with the rest of America, life on campus in Kearney would be changed forever by World War II. Antelope 101 will take it from there when we return in the fall. Until then, thanks for watching.
Well, we want to say thanks to Professor Nikki for helping us out with Antelope 101, and we look forward to her lessons coming up this fall. This is our final show for this academic school year. Before we leave you, we want to tip our hat to many UNK student athletes who are graduating this May. I'm Randy Bushcutter. We'll see you again with Loper Review next fall. Until then, see ya.
Loper Review is brought to you by Nebraska Star Beef.
The Nebraska Star Beef Pure Promise. No antibiotics, no hormones, humane treatment of animals, USDA choice or higher, a price that is always fair, and satisfaction guaranteed. At Nebraska Star Beef, we pay close attention to what we feed our families and are passionate about delivering beef that you can feel good about serving to your family. Visit us at nebraskastarbeef.com for more information.
Programming is made possible in part by the Museum of Nebraska Art in Kearney. From the artist explores through the modern era to the art of today, Mona tells the story of Nebraska through the art of Nebraska. Whether you're online at mona.unk.edu or on our doorstep, there's always something new to see and do.
The Nebraska Star Beef Pure Promise. No antibiotics, no hormones, humane treatment of animals, USDA choice or higher, a price that is always fair, and satisfaction guaranteed. At Nebraska Star Beef, we pay close attention to what we feed our families and are passionate about delivering beef that you can feel good about serving to your family. Visit us at nebraskastarbeef.com for more information.